Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Ever get that feeling like you're always chasing after the next big thing but then you just end up feeling empty and overwhelmed by all the stuff you've got?
Mm.
If you know what I mean, then get ready, because today we're diving deep into self-help and intentional living. We're going to be looking at the Minimalist-ish Journal by Christina Mychas. You can find a link to the book in the description below. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe.
It's so interesting you say that about feeling empty, because that's exactly what Mychas talks about in the book. She talks about her own journey, going from a shopaholic who was struggling with debt to finding a more balanced way to live. And it's not about living in a stark white box with no personality.
Right. It's like finding that sweet spot, a minimalist-ish lifestyle,
Hmm?
where you're surrounded by things you actually love and that bring you joy.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this journey Mychas takes us on. What are some of the main takeaways?
One of the things that really hit me was how much Mychas stresses how important it is to figure out your why. Like, before you even start decluttering, she talks about this really powerful example from her own life. She wanted to pay off $10,000 of debt so she could, worry less about money and finally go on that dream vacation to Italy. It's not just about getting rid of stuff just to get rid of it. It's about making what you do match up with what you really care about and what you want in life.
That is such a key point. It's easy to get so caught up in the how-to of minimalism, but then you forget about the why behind it. And I think that's where so many people get stuck. So how does Mychas think people should go about finding their why?
In the journal, she has a bunch of thought-provoking prompts and exercises to help people, figure out what really motivates them personally. Like, for example, she wants you to imagine your ideal life and then figure out what's stopping you from living that life right now. And a lot of times it turns out those obstacles are because of our stuff and how attached we are to it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So once you figured out your why, what's next? Does she just jump right into decluttering?
Not exactly. She's got this 5-step process that she calls the minimalist-ish method. And the first step is actually all about setting an intention for your dream life, shifting the focus from what you're losing to what you're gaining by simplifying.
Okay, so it's about creating a vision for the future.
Yeah.
And then using that vision to motivate you during the decluttering process. What are the other steps?
Well, the second step is about taking stock of what you've already got. It's about being mindful of what you buy and appreciating the stuff you already have before deciding to get rid of anything.
So it's like taking inventory before you go grocery shopping. You wouldn't go to the store without checking your fridge and pantry first.
Exactly. It's all about making conscious choices about what you bring into your life. And that takes us to the third step, decluttering the excess. But it's not about getting rid of everything you own. It's about letting go of the stuff that's not doing anything for you anymore. The things that are like weighing you down or taking up space, both physically and mentally.
I love how she makes it clear. It's not about deprivation. It's about making space for what actually matters. Okay, so we've set an intention, taken inventory, and decluttered the excess. What's step 4?
Step 4 is all about falling in love with the now. Being grateful for what you already have is key. It helps you break the cycle of always wanting more.
That's such an important point, especially these days. We're constantly being told we need more, 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 more. But how does Mychas think people should go about falling in love with what they already have? That seems like a pretty abstract idea.
She actually has some really practical advice. She talks about creating a gratitude ritual, like maybe writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day. She also wants readers to focus on their senses, to really take the time to appreciate how beautiful and functional the stuff they own already is.
So it's about being mindful, right? Being in the moment and savoring the little things. That makes a lot of sense. And what about the last step?
The final step is all about being picky. It's not about denying yourself. It's about waiting for those items that you really truly love and will actually use so that you can avoid those impulse buys. The ones that just clutter up your space and drain your bank account.
So it sounds like she wants people to be more intentional about what they buy.
Absolutely. And there's this great quote in the book. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
I love that. So you're saying it's not about denying yourself things. It's about being more careful about what you bring into your life.
You got it. And that leads us to another key idea in the book. The difference between a no buy and a low buy.
Okay, this sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Well, a no buy is a bit more extreme. It's where you decide not to spend any money in certain categories for a certain amount of time. It could be clothing, makeup, takeout, whatever areas you think are a problem for you.
Like a spending detox.
Yes, exactly. It helps you break those habits where you're just spending without thinking and reset your relationship with money.
And what about a low buy? What's the difference?
A low buy is more flexible. You set limits on how much you spend or how often you buy things in certain categories.
So you're not completely cutting yourself off, but you're setting boundaries to be more mindful about your spending.
You got it. And the book has some great examples of how to do both a no buy and a low buy. Like, you could limit yourself to buying 2 new clothing items a month, or you could only buy makeup after you've completely finished a palette.
Those are really helpful examples. It seems like both ways are about being aware and intentional, not depriving yourself.
Exactly. It's about taking back control over how you spend money and making choices that fit with what you believe in and what you want to achieve.
This is all starting to click. But let's face it, even when we have the best intentions, we mess up. We're all human rights. How does Mychas deal with this in the book?
She's got a whole section dedicated to planning for imperfection. She gets that we're all going to make mistakes. And that's all right. The important thing is to know what to do when those slip-ups happen.
So it's not about getting mad at yourself when you give in to temptation. It's about having a strategy for getting back on track. What kind of strategies does she suggest?
She says to go back to your why. Like, remind yourself why you started this whole thing in the first place. She also really emphasizes being kind to yourself and not putting yourself down.
So it's about being nice to yourself even when you make mistakes.
Exactly. And she also says to figure out what your triggers are. What are those things that make you want to overspend?
That's really helpful. Once you're aware of your triggers,
Yeah.
you can come up with ways to avoid them or deal with them in a better way.
Absolutely. And all of this comes back to the importance of having an abundance mindset.
Okay, we've mentioned that idea a few times, but I'd love to hear more about what exactly an abundance mindset is and why it's so important for this minimalist-ish thing.
It's about switching your focus. Instead of thinking about what you don't have, you think about what you do have. It's about appreciating the good stuff that's already in your life, instead of always wanting more.
So it's not just about decluttering your home, but also decluttering your mind and thoughts.
You got it. And the book has some great exercises to help you do this. For example, it suggests making a gratitude journal, where you write down everything you're grateful for each day.
That sounds like a great idea. It's
Yeah.
so easy to forget about all the awesome things we already have.
Uh-huh. And it's about changing how you talk. Like, instead of saying, I can't afford this, you can say, I'm choosing to save my money for something else. It's a small change, but it can make a big difference in how you see your resources.
I can see how that could help you make smarter choices about how you spend. It's not about feeling deprived. It's about making decisions that match up with your values and goals.
Exactly. And that's where the journal comes in.
Oh, right. We haven't even talked about the practical side of the Minimalist-ish Journal. Tell me more about how the journal is set up and what kind of tools it gives you.
Well, it's designed to be like a buddy throughout your journey. It has these monthly overviews where you can set goals and see how you're doing.
So it's like a roadmap for your minimalist-ish lifestyle.
You got it. And there are these weekly check-ins to help you stay focused and tweak things as you go.
That's great for accountability.
Yeah.
It's like having a built-in support system.
And it's got a space for reflection where you can write about your experiences and what you're learning.
So it's not just about tidying up your house. It's about clearing your mind and working through your feelings, too.
Exactly. And it even has wish lists, which might sound a bit strange for a journal about minimalism, but it actually has a really important purpose.
Yeah, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these wish lists.
Mychas thinks you should use wish lists as a way to put some space between yourself and something you might buy on impulse.
Like a cooling off period.
Exactly. Instead of instantly buying something you see, you write it down on your wish list and give yourself some time to really think about it.
That makes a lot of sense. It helps you avoid those moments of buyer's remorse.
And it helps you decide what to spend your money on. You can look over your wish list every now and then and see if you still really want those things, or if they were just a fleeting thought.
I could see how that would be really helpful for stopping impulse buys.
And if you do end up getting something from your wish list, the book tells you to plan for it carefully, like save up for it, research your options, and make sure it's something you truly need.
So no more going crazy on shopping sprees.
Not if you're following the minimalist-ish method. It's all about making conscious choices about what you bring into your life.
And that's a powerful change in how you think.
It really is. It's about moving away from feeling like you don't have enough to feeling abundant. You appreciate what you have and make choices that truly match what's important to you.
This is all so interesting. It feels like we've only scratched the surface of what the Minimalist-ish Journal has to offer.
Oh, there's so much more. We haven't even gotten to the monthly challenges.
Ooh, tell me more about these challenges. What kind of things does she have people do?
Well, they're designed to be fun and easy ways to actually use the ideas from the book.
So it's not just about reading the book and forgetting about it. It's about trying out the ideas and seeing how they work in your life.
Exactly. The challenges range from easy things, like trying to make 3 different outfits with an item from your closet you never wear, to more involved things like trying a mini capsule wardrobe for a whole month, or going through all your makeup and decluttering it.
That sounds like such a fun way to keep things fresh and interesting.
And it's a chance to try stuff out and see what works for you. Not every challenge is going to be for everyone, but there's definitely something in there for you to try that'll help you move forward on your minimalist-ish journey.
I can't wait to try out some of these challenges myself.
Yeah.
This whole minimalist-ish living idea is really speaking to me.
Me too. It's not about depriving yourself or living in a super plain, empty house. It's about making a life that feels right, that matches your values and what matters to you. A life with more joy and less clutter.
And the Minimalist-ish Journal gives you the tools and the roadmap to make that happen.
You got it. It's a super helpful and motivating guide to creating a life with more purpose.
I think that's something we can all work towards.
Definitely. And Christina Mychas does such a great job of getting that message across in the Minimalist-ish Journal.
I totally agree. I'm so glad we got to dive into this book today.
Me too. It's been a really insightful conversation.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about.
What part of your life feels the most cluttered right now?
And what's one small thing you could do this week to simplify? To make more room for what's really important.
We want to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments down below.
And be sure to join us for part 2 of our deep dive into the Minimalist-ish Journal. We're going to explore some of the more subtle parts of the book and share our own experiences with minimalist-ish living.
You know, one thing that really stuck with me about Mychas's approach is that she's all about progress, not perfection.
Yeah, we talked about that before. It's really nice to hear a self-help author actually admit that we all mess up sometimes.
Exactly. And she even has a whole section in the journal about planning for imperfection.
Hmm.
Offering strategies for when you buy something you didn't mean to or when you feel like you're slipping up.
So it's not about being hard on yourself when you go off track. It's about having a plan to get back on course.
Right. She talks about being kind to yourself
Ah.
and not getting stuck in that negative self-talk because that can really sabotage your efforts.
It's like she's saying, hey, it's okay to mess up. Just admit it, learn from it, and keep going.
Exactly. And she also says it's important to know what your triggers are, like what situations or feelings usually make you overspend.
Oh, that's so important. Once you know your triggers, you can start figuring out how to handle those situations in a healthier way.
Totally. She even suggests carrying a little card in your wallet with your why written on it and your low buy or no buy rules, just as a little reminder when you're tempted to buy something impulsively.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like having a little angel on your shoulder whispering, do you really need this? Remember what you're working towards.
Exactly. It's all about bringing that mindfulness and intentionality into those moments of temptation.
It seems like so much of this minimalist-ish journey is about shifting your mindset.
It really is. And that's where those monthly reflection sections in the journal come in. Those sections really make you pause and think about how you're doing. You celebrate your wins, acknowledge your struggles, and adjust as you need to.
It's like having a built-in accountability partner.
And a cheerleader. Those reflections help you stay motivated and connected to your why.
I'm really interested in this idea of tracking your progress. What specific tools does Mychas give you in the journal to do this?
Well, aside from the monthly reflections, she includes a whole bunch of trackers and checklists. For instance, there's a spending tracker, where you can log all your purchases every month.
That would be so eye-opening. I bet a lot of us would be surprised to see how much money we're spending on things we don't actually need.
Right. It helps you see where you might be overspending, and then you can make changes from there. She also has an inventory tracker, where you can list everything you own.
It's like that taking stock step we talked about earlier,
Right.
but on a more detailed level.
Exactly. It helps you see how much you already have and makes those "do I really need this" moments a lot easier.
I can see how that would really help with cutting down on impulse buys. If you're about to buy something new, you can just look at your inventory
Yeah.
and see if you already have something similar. Or maybe you realize you don't even need it at all.
Exactly. It's about making those thoughtful choices instead of acting impulsively.
Speaking of impulse purchases, let's get back to the wish lists. I'm still curious about how those fit into a minimalist-ish lifestyle.
I know, it seems kind of counterintuitive, right? But Micah says to use wish lists to create a little space between you and something you might buy without thinking.
So, like a cooling off period.
You got it. Instead of buying something the second you see it, you write it down on your wish list, and then you give yourself some time to really think about it.
That's a great idea. It definitely helps you avoid buyer's remorse.
And it helps you figure out what's really worth spending your money on. You can go back and look at your wish list every so often and see if you still really want those things, or if it was just a passing fancy.
I see how that could be so useful for curbing those impulse purchases.
And even if you do decide to get something from your wish list, the book says to plan for it intentionally. Save up, do your research, and make sure it's something you truly need and will use.
So, no more spontaneous shopping sprees.
Not if you're following the minimalist-ish method. It's all about making those conscious and deliberate choices about what comes into your life.
That's a really powerful shift in mindset.
It really is. It's about moving away from that feeling of scarcity and moving towards a feeling of abundance, where you appreciate what you have and make choices that truly align with your values.
Speaking of abundance, the book also talks about how important it is to be grateful.
Absolutely. Gratitude is a huge part of the minimalist-ish method.
It helps you appreciate all the good things in your life right now, instead of always wanting more.
You got it. The book even suggests keeping a gratitude journal to regularly reflect on all the things you're thankful for.
I love that idea. It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life and forget to appreciate the simple things that bring us joy.
Right. Taking just a few minutes each day to write those things down can really change your perspective and help you develop a more positive and abundant mindset.
And that can have a positive impact on every part of your life, right?
Yeah.
Your relationships, your work, your overall well-being.
It's true. When you approach things from a place of gratitude, you're more likely to be kind, compassionate, and generous. And less likely to get caught up in that feeling of not having enough that drives so much of our consumer culture.
Exactly. It's about realizing that true abundance comes from within, not from the stuff you own.
That's a message we all need to hear.
I agree. And I think Mychas does a wonderful job of expressing that message in the Minimalist-ish Journal.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive into the Minimalist-ish Journal.
We've looked at the importance of figuring out your why, planning for those inevitable slip-ups, cultivating an abundance mindset, and using the journal's tools and trackers to stay on course.
But there's still more to uncover.
We haven't even touched on the monthly challenges yet.
You're right. And those challenges are where the real magic happens.
They're a fun and practical way to actually put the minimalist-ish method into action and see how it works for you. So stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll share some of our favorite challenges from the book. All right, so we've talked about like the whole philosophy behind this minimalist-ish method and all the cool tools and trackers in the journal, but I'm really excited to get to the monthly challenges. What are some of your faves?
Okay, there's this one that really stands out. It's called the Style It Up Challenge. You pick something from your closet that you never wear, and then you have to come up with 3 different outfits using that item.
Oh, that's a good one. It makes you get creative with the clothes you already own.
Exactly. It helps you think outside the box when it comes to your style.
I'm definitely guilty of always wearing the same outfits over and over again.
We all do it. Then there's the Makeup Detox Challenge. You declutter all your makeup, and then you don't buy anything new until you use up the stuff you already have.
Oh man, I need that challenge. My makeup drawer is a disaster.
I feel you. It's crazy how much makeup we end up with over time. This challenge is a great way to make your routine simpler and, learn to appreciate the products you already have. Plus, you can save a bunch of money.
Speaking of money, one of the challenges that caught my eye was the mini capsule wardrobe challenge.
Oh yeah, that one's a classic minimalist go-to. Basically, you make a capsule wardrobe with just a few pieces, and you can mix and match them to create a whole bunch of different outfits.
So it can help you save money since you're not constantly buying new clothes.
For sure. And it can make your mornings way easier because you don't have to spend so much time picking out what to wear.
I love that. I'm all about anything that helps me get out the door faster in the morning.
Me too. Then there's the Digital Declutter Challenge, which is basically cleaning up your online life. Like cleaning out your inbox, unsubscribing from emails you don't read, deleting old files, and just making your digital space more manageable.
Oh, that's a good one. I think everyone feels overloaded with digital stuff these days.
It's true. It's way too easy to get swamped with emails, notifications, and all the social media stuff. This challenge is a great way to create a more peaceful and productive online environment for yourself.
I'm definitely going to give that one a try. These challenges are so creative and inspiring. I love how they take the minimalist-ish ideas and make them things you can actually do.
Totally. They give you a chance to experiment, to see what works for you. Not every challenge will be for everyone, but you're bound to find at least one that speaks to you and helps you on your minimalist-ish journey.
And it's not about being perfect, right? It's about making progress.
You got it. It's about trying new things, figuring out what works, and finding what makes you happy.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about minimalist-ish living.
Me too. It's not about denying yourself stuff or living in some bare, empty house. It's about creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful to you, with less clutter and more joy.
And that's definitely something worth striving for. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Minimalist-ish Journal, I want to encourage all of you listening to really embrace this journey. Try things out, see what works for you, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Exactly. It's about finding what makes you happy and making a life that feels genuine.
And remember, it's not a competition. It's about going at your own pace and finding what works for you.
That's such a key point. The minimalist-ish method is all about finding a balance that feels good, not forcing yourself to follow some strict set of rules. It's about making choices that support your well-being and match up with what you value.
And if you're feeling inspired, let us know. What part of our conversation resonated most with you? What areas of your life are you thinking about trying out a minimalist-ish approach?
Yeah, share your thoughts and what you've learned in the comments below. We love hearing from you and learning from your pretty actives.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We have tons of deep dives into self-improvement and intentional living. Until next time, happy simplifying.